Welcome to Church Alive, a Monday through Friday variety program that reflects the cry of a pastor's heart for the church to rise up and be the salt and light God has called it to be. With a composite of news and perspective from leading religious news sources to inform of what's happening within and related to the church worldwide, as well as occasional discussion of local issues and a call to action, local businessman Dennis Johnson and City Alderman Frank Beach join with Rockford's First Assembly Senior Pastor Sam Mayo for an every Thursday morning lively discussion of current events and the church. And now for the program, here is your host, Pastor Sam Mayo.
And thank you so much for being with us today. This is Pastor Sam Mayo, joined today by Dennis Johnson and Frank Beach as we share a very unique and unusual program. In fact, we're learning how to do something brand new today as we have a special guest visiting with us from Oklahoma City. Today we're going to be discussing some of the tragedy that has happened in Oklahoma City and the church's response to it, what's happening amongst Christians in that community. And to a large extent, I'm going to let Dennis Johnson and Frank Beach do most of the conversation with our telephone guest. And if we make mistakes and goof up along the way here, you'll just have to bear with us as we show how professional we really are. Well, how are you doing today, Dennis?
Hi, doing great, Pastor. Glad to be up here and around here today.
And how are you, Frank?
So wonderful to see you again, Pastor. Dennis, nice to see you as well.
Good. It's going to be a good program today.
Now, this studio arrangement is a little bit different today than usual. In fact, we're in the usual QFL studio taping this program, and in doing so, Dennis has a chair, Frank has a chair, our technician has a chair, and I'm on my knees.
I like that part.
You keep the preacher on his knees, and we'll get somewhere, won't we? Well, I'll tell you what, without any further ado, let's get on with our discussion of what is happening with the body of Christ as well as the community of Oklahoma City. Today, we're asking Dennis Johnson, if he would, to introduce our guest and bring her on the line live, direct from Oklahoma City.
Well, thanks, Pastor. And during this day, I had an opportunity to give a call to Oklahoma City and to chat with two churches down there that are connected with the Evangelical Free Church, the Community Bible Free Church, and they've got about 150 members, and they've got one of their members that's still missing in the rubble in that bombing out of that building there, and her name is Judy Fisher, and she was employed by HUD, and she has a husband, two college girls, and a 3-year-old and an 8-year-old. And what a tragedy that's been, not only for that particular family in that church, but also for the other churches in that community. And I know that many of the pastors have been working ever since the bombing occurred. And we have on the line with us right now Phyllis Swenson and her husband Carol. Both of them have been working diligently ever since this happened. Phyllis, are you there with us?
Yes, I am here.
And can you just share with us a little bit about how you responded and how your husband responded there in Oklahoma City when you learned of this tragedy, and what stress that you've been under ever since that time?
All right. The morning of the explosion, it was around 9 o'clock, and I heard a loud sound. I went outside, and I thought it was a sonic boom. I looked around. I couldn't see a plane. My husband also heard it, and he just didn't know what it was, and he went on to work. I then a little later on turned the TV on, and then I saw the terrible sight of the federal building with the bomb explosion. And we, all of Oklahoma City since then, have been under a tremendous amount of stress. It's even today, I heard on the radio, or TV, that I believe 14 buildings in the downtown area have now been condemned. And the church, there are the First United Methodist Church downtown is one of those buildings which is condemned.
Wow.
Our son, he works as food service director at First Baptist Church, downtown Oklahoma City, and that's 5 blocks from the explosion. That church suffered, their beautiful stained glass windows were shattered, which cannot be replaced, and other windows were broken. Our son, he was feeding FBI agents and police and firemen and volunteers in his dining room, which seats around 500 in that church. So he has been in the thick of it there downtown. Now, my husband, he has, I think he's his third or fourth consecutive day to go down. He talked to people from the Regency Tower. They were apartments right near the blast, and it's a tall building. I think it's either 18 or 24-story building. I'm not sure, but anyhow, these people were displaced and put in the motels. And he went door to door at the motels. These people feel so helpless. Now, I heard on the radio today that these people have been allowed to return, and there's just glass everywhere.
So your husband has been, Carol, has been helping to try to encourage those that have been displaced by this blast, right?
Okay, now that's part of it. And then yesterday he went down, and he went to the First Christian Church where these people are gathered who are waiting word of their loved one.
Right, the ones that are missing.
That's right. They're trying to take these dead bodies out of the building.
Right.
And the people just gathered there to be with each other. I asked my husband, in fact, that's where he is now, I believe, downtown. And he's been giving them, like, really helpful books like God Understands and I Hurt, those type of things, to help people. And they just wait there with each other. And my husband told me that it was very encouraging to the people there to just be with each other during this time of crisis.
Now, I understand from your husband when I talked to him earlier today that you've been getting some calls from out of the city.
Oh, yes, we have calls from all over the nation to our home.
Right, and you've got a congregation of what, about 25 families?
Yes.
And still you're getting calls of offer to help from all over by the church people from all over the country.
Yes, we are, and it's been beautiful. It's been we have been really surprised. I have a list here in front of me. I'll just name the states: California, Colorado, Florida, Minnesota, New York, New Jersey, Arizona. Of course, you folks here calling us now. I just got a call from Virginia a while ago. I'll look down my list here.
Has that been an encouragement to you and your husband?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's been wonderful.
Is there anything else that folks who are Christians, love the Lord, what can we do around the nation to assist you and your husband who are right there in the thick of things, trying to help and do whatever you can? What can we do for you?
Well, I would say the first thing that you can do is to pray. That's the most important thing to do. And people that give money, we are encouraged to give to the Red Cross, Salvation Army, Feed the Children. But I think some of these churches like ours, where the pastor has been spending hours and hours to talk to people, they need spiritual help. Physical help will, that eventually will end, but the spiritual goes on.
Phyllis, could you give us your address there, your mailing address, if folks here in our area are moved by God's Spirit to send a gift or a note of encouragement? Would you do that now, please?
I will. It's. I'll just give you our home address.
That'll be fine.
2616 Northwest 110th Street.
110th Street. That's 2616 Northwest 110th Street.
And it's Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma.
Okay, and your zip code?
73120.
73120. And how should they make the checks out to?
If they want, you could make it out to Calvary Bible Church.
Calvary Bible Church.
That's right.
All right. Well, right as we're speaking, your address and your church name is going out over the air to thousands of people in the Christian community here that are with you and the people there in Oklahoma during this tragic time. May I ask you a question, please?
Yes.
Did you get a chance to attend the National Day of Mourning services there?
Oh, yes. It was wonderful. I mean, it was sad.
Yes.
But we did get to go. We got to the fairgrounds at 11:30 Sunday morning, and we got into the arena at about 1 o'clock. The service started at 3.
Well, I tell you, we watched it here, and thanks to CNN for what a tremendous job they did. But we could see on the faces of the families there the extreme loss, the disbelief, the anger over it. But yet the unity that you described earlier was something that they all spoke of as helping them a great deal.
That's correct. And, to be in that meeting, there was that, that aura. I don't know how better to explain it, but just that feeling of being there with all those people, you just almost felt overwhelmed.
That's right.
And I as we were driving to the meeting at the State Fairgrounds, there was a great big sign on the main highway, the main thoroughfare, prayer meeting with an arrow.
Oh.
Next exit. And I thought to myself, when was that had in the past, has ever Oklahoma had a big arrow on the highway saying everybody going to a prayer meeting?
Well,
and I thought that was special.
You've been so kind to talk to us today and to help us hear from you, those that are home, and to a small church congregation that's just reaching out and trusting God's people to help supply. I want to thank you for meeting you, Phyllis, by phone, and God's blessing on you and your family.
Phyllis, there was one of our staff here at the station. Her 8-year-old girls have written something. It goes like this, and they just handed it to me just before we began. It says the Oklahoma City bombing. It said right in the newspaper somewhere that no place is safe. But is that true? No. Psalms 37, 1 through 3 says, "Fret not thyself of evildoers, neither be envious against the workers of iniquity, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass, and wither as the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good, so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily shalt thou be fed." Revelation chapter 20, verse 10 says, "And the devil that deceived them was cast in the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and false prophet are, and they shall be tormented day and night forever and ever." And then they end with this: "If we believe in the Lord, He will always be with us day and night forever and ever, and we will not have to be scared." And that's from an 8-year-old here in Rockford.
What a wonderful thing.
Are the children holding up their well in Oklahoma City?
I think they're doing pretty well. I will say, though, we have a man in our church. I suppose he's approaching 80, and his parents and grandparents, Oklahoma City is their town.
Right.
And Sunday morning in our service, we all expressed ourselves how we felt about this terrible incident, and this man was almost in tears. He says, "This is my town."
Right.
And he feels it so deeply.
It's been violated.
Yes,
Right.
that's right. And if I may just do this, a young man in our church is a poet,
Mm-hmm.
and he wrote this short poem and handed it out for us Sunday morning.
Oh, read it for
Good.
us.
Read it, please.
It's called Kids Everlasting. I heard the explosion, too. It cut me to the heart. I wondered, what can I do to help this healing start? After all, this hurt is too deep to subside in a single day. The killers considered life cheap. They took our children away. The angels were surely there, showing kids to their new home. These little ones, now in God's care, are frolicking in heaven's kingdom. I'll pray for strength to relieve what heartache and suffering I can. I'll comfort these dear ones that grieve as they endure the trial at hand. Remember, God is still on the throne, still on his throne. He's in complete and utter control. God hears every moan, every groan, as he heals the depths of man's soul. Jamie Rosado. And at the bottom it says, this offered in tribute to the children whose lives were snatched away by the bombing of the Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, at 9:04 a.m. on Wednesday, April the 19th, 1995.
Wow, it's beautifully said.
I
Wonderful.
thought you might appreciate hearing that.
That's just wonderful. Thank you.
Now you had Billy Graham at the service there in Oklahoma, and I'm sure he did real well.
Yes,
And
did very well.
And then you had the president there, and his remarks were, I understand from your husband, were very well received.
They were well received. Also there was Janet Reno came, and other members of the president cabinet was there. George W. Bush Jr. from the Texas governor was there with his wife.
Right. Now, Phyllis, I know that the president went on to Minneapolis from there.
Yes, he did.
And he made some remarks up there, and I know that your husband again was saying me that some of the remarks that were made up there in Minneapolis actually did not go over very well down in Oklahoma City.
No,
Can
he
you
did
share
not.
your thoughts about that?
Oh, you mean what he said about the talk?
Yeah.
So, oh yes, it does not go well down here. We are very conservative down here.
Okay.
No, that did not do well down here afterwards. We just didn't feel like that was at all appropriate.
Well, I think that you might want to explain to our listeners here again just exactly what some of those comments were about the fact that talk show hosts.
Right.
Well,
Well, go ahead, Phyllis.
Well, well, see, a lot of us down here, we listen to Oliver North, J. Gordon Liddy, Rush Limbaugh, these talk show people, and he was sort of making a, well, how can
It was like an inference that their programs were causing the kind of violence that triggered this person to blow that federal building up.
Yeah, and it just didn't seem right that you make something political out of that.
Right, and so
I agree with that.
for those of you who are actually in the city and trying to help people on a day-to-day basis cope with this, well, the president did extremely well when he was in your city in his remarks there, and they went over very well.
Yes.
Apparently his extended remarks as he continued on Monday didn't go over very well at all.
It wasn't proper.
Right.
It wasn't proper. And it's just too bad that happened.
Well, I want to say to you that you're coming with us, talking for the last 50 or 20 minutes. Has been wonderful for our audience today, and I really think that we should have a little prayer before we go off the air with you, if you don't mind.
That was